What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had an awesome week. I definitely did. I haven't seen you in a week or so. We kind of took a hiatus for a weekend, but we are back. Tonight, we have Miss Dasianae. I hope I said that right. Dasianae Cross. She is a entrepreneur. She's a beauty queen, literally. She is a radio host. She's a student, a high school student at that. I mean, this young mogul is doing her thing. And I just definitely had to have her on the platform. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Dasianae, I'm going to give her a moment to kind of just reintroduce herself and just give a little background of who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, Miss Cross, you have the floor, and I think that you're muted right now, so just in case.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. You were close. My name's Dasianae Cross. Yes, I am a student. I'm 17 years old. I'm a student at Salem High School and the Governor's School of Arts. And I'm part of the vocal department. So in the vocal department, we sing, but we specifically sing opera. We sing other genres, but we mainly focus on opera. So I guess you could say I'm also an opera singer. I'm the Miss Virginia teen. I've been doing pageants since I was about 7 years old, but I have two other titles as well. I'm the Gospel Music Workshop of America's National Debutante, and I am now the Elks Miss Virginia as well, a title I just won last month. And then right now I have my title for National American Miss, where I'm the Miss Virginia teen. Other than that, I just love singing. I do musical theater with the Hurrah Players. I was Bagheera the Panther in their Jungle Book, and I just do a whole bunch of performing arts.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Listen, like I said, when I ran down and looked at this young lady's resume, I was floored by what she's been able to accomplish in such a short time at such a young age. And I definitely wanted to have her on the platform to just kind of like glean from her. It's like, how do you do it? But what we like to do is we just like to start from the beginning. So like, if you could choose where you start your story from, where would you start your story from? How does Dasianae's, did I say that right that time?
Yes, Dasianae, yes.
Where does Dasianae's story begin?
I guess you could say it started when I was about 3. I had my first solo at my church, and I just always loved to sing. And ever since I had that solo, I had got to lead "Walking" by Mary Mary. And ever since I did that, I always knew that what I wanted to do as a full-time career was sing. And then we ended up moving to Texas, and I just continued singing there, and that really got me out in the open. But when I moved back to Virginia, that's where all the opportunities really started to flow in. I was doing a lot of singing. Then I got introduced to opera. I was in audition to audition for Virginia Opera's street scene, and I ended up getting in, and I played the role of Grace, and that was in 2018. And around that time, also, I met Doc Christian, who is the man that I am on the radio with. I have a radio show called Sunday Morning Praise, and I come on every Sunday morning with Doc Christian. I'm his co-host, and it's something that I love doing and something I gained a love for. And then I've been doing pageants since I was about 7 years old. And I just always loved pageantry. And when I first started doing pageants, I knew this was something that I knew I wanted to continue to do with the rest of my life. And I finally got the pageant title that I always wanted. I won last year in August of 2023. And it is honestly a blessing. And ever since I won that pageant title, I've been winning other pageant titles, and I just been really dedicated. And then also being a part of Governor's School opened my horizons to more genres of music. I've been studying not only opera, but I've been studying jazz at the Governor's School. And it's honestly something that I love because it's making me expand my craft, which is something I always wanted to do.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. Like, was this always the plan, or did, or did this just kind of come along with what you were, where you were headed? Was this all a surprise for you, or was this all in the plan?
Some of it was a surprise for me. I knew that I always wanted to sing, but I was not expecting for me to end up singing opera one day. Was
Mhm.
not expecting that at all. But now I gained a true love for opera, and I love it so much. And then with pageants, I always, when I first started doing pageants, I always knew I wanted to win the title, but I did not. I didn't really know like when I was gonna win the title, but I knew it was going to happen eventually for me. And with radio, I was not expecting for me to do radio or anything like that. I just had met Doc Christian at a concert that I was at with my mom, and he was telling me that he would love for me to be on the show with him. And I was like, oh. And I was like, that's something different. But I gained a love for it. And so I feel that everything just started to fall into place. And I feel like even though I wasn't expecting it, it was all part of God's plan.
You said, and you said it more than once. You said you learned to love it.
Yes.
So am I to say that you weren't necessarily a fan of the idea at first, or was it just I'll try it and see what happens, or what was your mindset?
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest like for opera, for instance, I wasn't the biggest fan of it at first. It's different listening to something and just like, listening to someone else do something. But once you actually get a part of it and you start doing it yourself and you actually put the work towards it and you realize how much work it actually is, then you gain a love for something. And that's with opera. I didn't know much about opera, so I couldn't really have a love for something that I didn't know anything about. But
Mhm.
as I grew to learn it and I grew to work towards it and everything like that, then that's when I was like, okay, I really love doing this.
That's amazing. How about the radio situation? Like, did that take some getting used to? Did that were you warm and fuzzy about it from the beginning, or do you feel like like you said, you had to grow to love it or like it?
I didn't have to. When I say I had to grow to love that, I meant like in the sense of like I didn't know much about it, like much about radio.
Hmm.
And doing radio, I knew that it was something really cool because I used to want to be a talk show host. Not so much anymore, but I used to when I was little. And at that time, I really wanted to be one. So I was like, oh, this is like a great stepping stone to it. But it was a lot for me to learn. And it was just a new thing for me to learn about, and it was a lot for me because I was doing radio and then I was able to go to appearances. I had the pleasure of being able to co-host something in the water in 2019, the pop-up church. So that was a lot of fun getting to meet my favorites, Mary, Kirk Franklin, and all types of celebrities like Ty Tribbett. It was really like it was a lot, and it was a lot of fun, but I didn't know much about it, and I'm still learning.
Being able to rub elbows with some of the people, like you said, this probably is a question for your parents, probably, but being able to rub elbows with such big names and such legendary people, how much of a challenge is it for you to keep your head on straight?
To keep my head on straight, you really just have to keep God first, and you have to have a really like strong state of mind. And that's why I'm so grateful for my parents. My parents always like instilled for me to have confidence in myself.
Mhm.
And my mom is always there with me. My dad's in the military, so he's often on deployment. But my mom, she's always with me wherever I go. I never really go anywhere by myself, so I don't really have much issues when it comes to any of that.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Let me ask you this: you're doing all these things, and it's I would venture to say that it's a predominantly adult, you know, dominated arena. No matter what you're talking about, I mean, if you're talking about the radio show, if you're talking about doing the governor's school and the music part, when and everything else, um, is it a challenge for when you're constantly you're around adults and you're having adult conversations and you're doing all these mature things, you're doing pageants and all these, like I said, adult things, for lack of better words. Do you find it a challenge has it been a challenge for you to still be able to relate to your peers? You know what I mean? Because it's hard to go hang out with a Kirk Franklin or somebody and then come back to school and you know what I mean, and talk about whatever it is that, you know, high school people talk about, nowadays. Like, how is it, has it been a challenge for you to, like I said, to relate to your peers, or how much of a challenge has it been for your peers to relate to you?
I don't think it's been that much of a challenge. I have a really strong supporting friend system. All my friends, they understand. They all know like everything that I do, and we support each other no matter what. A lot of my friends that I made recently go to governor school, and so they do a lot of extracurricular activities, specifically opera or just instruments or anything like that in general. So like we're all in like the same room. I've probably done a little bit more than them. A lot of them haven't met Kirk Franklin. A lot of them have not done pageants. But I've learned from a lot of my friends, specifically my female friends, that I am an inspiration to them. So that helps me to relate to them in certain ways. Getting like giving them advice or helping them to understand certain things is something that I love to do, and it helps me to relate to them.
Wow. Wow. Doing, let's talk about the pageantry for a little bit. So you went out for your first pageant and you've been become so successful in that arena and you're constantly moving forward in that. Um, what has that done for you personally? Like, do you has that been a confidence boost for you? Was that, do you feel like it's boosted your self-confidence or your self-esteem, or what, if you could name one thing that being in that whole system has done for you from a personal standpoint, what would that one thing be?
I definitely have gained confidence from doing pageants, specifically the organization National American Miss. The logo actually, their slogan is growing in confidence. And I definitely have gained confidence from being at the pageant because this is not like your typical pageant. It's not specifically about, who's the prettiest girl or anything like that. When I first competed, I was 7, and 7 through 12-year-olds cannot wear any type of makeup. You can only wear makeup when you're 13 and above. So
Okay.
I wasn't wearing any makeup or anything like that. And they wanted you to focus more on your natural beauty and the beauty that resides inside of you. And
Wow.
besides that, I also learned a lot of speaking skills. And I just, I learned how to do interviews. There's an interview portion. So that's going to help me in the real world. And I also just grew a love for doing pageants because it's something that's so heartwarming as well. Ever since I won the title, it's probably been like the most heartwarming experience for me, having like younger girls or even young boys come up to me asking to take pictures or just asking me about pageantry and saying that they look up to me. It makes me really happy.
Wow. That is an amazing thing. I can't imagine, you know what I mean? Is it still, when being in the limelight, doing these things and constantly putting yourself kind of on display? Um, when you do, like, say, a concert, you're hosting a concert or something like that, is it still scary for you? Is it still, you still get nervous, or are you just so old hat at it that you just kind of like another day at the office?
I definitely still do get nervous. And I may like, like be really nervous. I'm usually nervous before I get on stage, but once I get on the stage, I feel really at home and I feel really comfortable on stage.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So we are a radio host. We are a beauty pageant winner. We are an opera singer. I mean, wow. Like, how do you balance it all? Like, how are you able to do, everything? Do you feel like, do you feel like you're balancing everything on an equal playing field, or do you feel like one thing kind of like is more prevalent than some of the other things?
I try to balance everything, but I feel like my mom's like a great help with that. Like she is like my manager pretty much, and like she's the one that like has everything organized for me. But now that she's having me, since I'm a little older, she's having me like organize stuff myself as well. So I feel that's really helpful. Just having her there to help me out, because if I didn't have any help, I don't think I would be able to have everything balanced. But she knows what she's doing, so that helps me out a lot.
What do you think is what's one thing that you want to use your notoriety and your success? What is one thing that you want to use it to do within your community? Um, did that make
Yeah, that
sense?
makes sense.
Okay.
Something like I've been doing a lot with my platform. I specifically just want other girls that look more like me, specifically Black girls, to
Mhm.
feel comfortable in these spaces and know that they can achieve anything that they want to achieve, as long as they just stay humble, believe in God, and believe in themselves as well, and they put the work towards it. Then they can really achieve it, because not everything happens on your timing. It may take a lot of time, because it definitely did take me time to win the pageant title. But as I grew more and I learned more and I worked more, then I eventually got what I wanted.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So you're going through your process, and you're making the next, one would say you're making the necessary connections, and you're just kind of moving and shaking, and you're becoming this you're becoming this figure, in the music community, in the radio community, in the pageantry community. um if you could have it your way tomorrow, at the peak of what you're trying to do, what would it look like?
Like where I will, right, like where I see myself going
Right.
specifically.
Like, if you could describe your goal at its peak for what you want to do, what would it look like?
Oh, well, I have a lot of goals. So there's like a lot of things that I can see myself doing,
Mhm.
specifically having my own music out, and still studying music, studying different music genres and everything like that, but also having my own business. I My main focus is like my music and like having my own music out. But once I'm successful in that department, I want to branch out and do other things. I want to be a mentor for other young girls, maybe have my own vocal classes, but also be a mentor to help them build their own confidence. And then I also would like to have my own like businesses. I would love, my name is so unique, and I feel like my name would be great if it was a perfume. I don't know. I had someone tell me that like my name sounds like a perfume, and I was like,
Mhm.
that's so cool. And I think that would be really cool. And I was also thinking about like my own hair care line, because I'm really into like hair and like natural hair. I have my hair straightened right now, but like when I have my curls out, I love like everything like with curls and everything.
That is amazing.
Oh yes, my aunt is on here. I also volunteer at the nursing home, and I've been doing that since I was 10 years old. Yes.
Awesome. I'm looking at you, and I'm listening, and I'm reading your bio, and it seems that you're well on your way to being so super rounded. You're so well rounded. You know what I'm saying? It's really not too much that you don't have your hands on. But let's talk about the music a little bit. So, like, what direction do you see your music going in? Like, have you recorded already? Like, where are you in that process?
I haven't recorded yet, but I still am learning more about music. I have a vocal teacher right now, and I want to like learn a lot more. I want to learn a little bit about piano, because I need to learn about chords and everything like that. But I'm still getting familiar with everything. Yeah.
So, what genre do you have a genre in mind, or like, what do you who influences you? Who are some of your biggest influences now?
I have a lot of influences, but recently, I don't know. I'm just like a huge fan of Mariah Carey right now.
Okay.
I just really love her music. I love her music. And I was doing a deep dive of like analyzing her music, specifically her music that she had like in the 90s and the late 80s,
Hmm.
and how like she was really influenced by gospel music, like older gospel from like the
Mhm.
60s. And there's one song that she has where like it's not an organ, they call it a churchy piano. And like I love
Mhm.
the intro and how she sings it. It's just gorgeous. And yeah, I just love that so much.
That's really surprising. I thought you were gonna say somebody a little bit more current, but Mariah Carey is
No,
definitely.
I'm not really, so I like current music, but
Mhm.
I don't really look up to anyone that is current as of right now. Like, I mean, I guess the only one you could say is Beyonce. I love Beyonce, but
Mm.
she's been out since the 90s. And so I don't
Right.
really consider her current, like a newer artist. I don't
Mhm.
really look up to any newer artists. I look up to more artists from like the 90s, or I really like older school music.
So
Um,
who so who uh so who do you credit with that? Like who put you onto that?
oh, like old school music?
Yeah.
Oh, my dad. My dad listen, my mom too, but my mom put me on more to gospel music. My dad put me on to like the old school, like he loves the Isley Brothers and Stevie Wonder. I love Stevie Wonder. Um, yeah, so I look up to a lot of artists in different ways. Like I love Stevie for like his lyrics and his poetry. I really admire that. I love Mariah Carey for her vocal agility and her vocal dynamics. Same with Karen Clark. I look up to her. Like her high notes are just insane, and like she's like in her 60s, I believe, and she's
Mhm.
still hitting notes like that. I hope I can be like that when I'm in my 60s. And then like Beyonce for like her presence and just her performance. I look up to the different artists in different ways.
That's amazing. Where do you see yourself as an artist at this point? Even though you haven't really recorded anything yet, where do you see how would you describe yourself as an artist at this point?
I'm still a founding artist. I guess I could say I'm still looking for my specific sound. I think I
Mhm.
have an idea of my sound, but as I learn more, I think I will really know like who I am as an artist.
How does being a radio host contribute to um your journey as an artist?
So it contributes a lot because I get to meet other artists, and I had the honor of interviewing a few, like Jacqueline Carr, Kirk Franklin, Corinne Hawthorne. That's a newer artist that I really like, Hawthorne. She's a
Mhm.
gospel artist. She's the one that sings "Won't He Do It." I love her. Yes, so those are like just getting advice from them or just interviewing them and seeing like their journey and everything like that. It influences me a lot. And then also my mentor, the Doc Christian, he showed me a lot. He showed me a lot about editing. He showed me a whole bunch of things when it comes to radio and music in general.
Wow. So with that, you kind of have a head start that, you
Yes.
know, pretty much no other artist has, as far as having the radio background. Like I feel like that's the cheat code. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like absolutely. So like that's a blessing in and of itself.
Yes, you learn a lot about marketing as well. So I kind of
Wow.
know how to market myself when I do get to where I want to be at.
Wow. So as a radio co-host, what would you say is your most memorable what was your most memorable interview that you've done so far?
My most memorable interview. Oh, I've done a lot of interviews, so it. I would probably say the one with Jacqueline Carr. She was just so sweet, and she was just so kind, and I just love like her speaking voice as well. Like like there's some people like who are singers, and like when they talk, that it also sounds like as if they're singing, and that's how
Mhm.
it was with her. She was very kind, and she's really gorgeous in person, and that was probably like one of my most memorable interviews.
Wow. Listen, I am so in awe of you to the point I have so many questions and I know that I'm not going to get them all in this evening, but you seem to have so many layers and you're doing a lot of things and you're a lot of things to a lot of people. Um, how do you maintain Dasianae through it all. Like because you're Dasianae the host, you're Dasianae the model, you're Dasianae the entrepreneur, you're Dasianae the volunteer, you're Dasianae the student. You're doing all these things. How do you is it a challenge for you to just find Dejanae, the regular person, in the midst of all that?
Well, I think it's pretty easy for me too. I mean, all of those are really a part of who I am.
Hmm.
Um, but also like I find like my joys like sometimes with myself, I love to journal. I love to write. That's something I love to do. And just having time to myself. I love listening to music and just writing. Music is probably like the main thing that's a part of me and which is me. And I just love to laugh a lot. My friends, I laugh a lot. I'm always making jokes about randomly something or I'm doing something silly. And then like also having time with my family, like spending time with my little brother is probably one of the my favorite things to do. Like we play this game called Roblox. So we just play on
Hmm.
that or play Minecraft sometimes. And just doing that is honestly some things how I stay with my regular self.
Have you found that people have, because you're moving around in such a mature way, do you find that sometimes people have unrealistic expectations of you?
Yes, definitely. I feel like people are like that with anyone that does stuff that I may do or that are on a
Hmm.
higher level, or are doing bigger things than me. Definitely. I used to even feel that way about certain people until like I really got into doing this and I understand like why some people may act the way they act or why some people may feel the way they feel sometimes. But yes, but I usually don't really worry much when people have the higher expectations for me. I just have expectations for myself. And if I don't meet those expectations for myself, then I'm not satisfied.
Wow. You were talking about how your mom is kind of an intricate part of the whole Dejanay movement. Can you kind of further expound on how important having your mom in your corner, supporting you? And I'm asking, and I'm saying that because that's not, in a lot of cases, that's not always the case. Usually, the child is like one having the dream, and the parent is the one that's saying, "Oh no, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, you should be a nurse, you should be whatever else," and they fight against it. But you are one of the few examples where your mother actually is in your corner and she's supporting you and she's pushing. So can you further expound on how important it is, or how important it's been to have her in your corner? It's giving you kind of helping you to find your way and find direction.
I feel it's very important, and I feel that almost everyone needs that. Either their mom or their dad, or actually both, because I do have both supporting me. And
Mhm.
my mom really does push me, and if I didn't have her in my corner, I probably wouldn't like be pushing myself as much because everyone needs that support system, and not everyone has that on their own. Um, and if I didn't have that by me, I probably wouldn't like, be where I am today, or I wouldn't be having all the aspirations that I want to have. But I feel that's very important because, she pushes me and she inspires me also. And she also sends me a lot of stuff, like stuff that I should do. And she like encourages me to do more stuff, which, keeps me busy and keeps me out of trouble. And it just keeps my headspace leveled.
Do you feel like this whole process has kind of like been therapeutic for her as well? Like being able to, like you said, and she encourages you, she sends you, words of encouragement. She's leading you in a way. Do you feel like that has opened up a chamber within her that maybe, was dormant till now? How do you feel like you've most influenced her?
How I maybe influenced her. Well, she's never been like the singer type, or like when she was younger, she didn't really do any of the stuff that I do. Like I
Mhm.
guess we're like polar opposites in that way. But I mean, I guess like how it makes her feel happy is that she has a child that's really like dedicated to what they want to do. So I feel like in that sense, that's where like we relate because she's really like dedicated to whatever she has going on. And I guess you could say like her kids, like because I have three brothers, and she's really dedicated to all of us, and
Mhm.
she always makes sure that we're like really satisfied and we're happy. So I feel that since she sees that I'm happy and I'm getting everything that I eventually want, that makes her happy as well.
Wow, that is great. Like I said, you are kind of an anomaly. You kind of a unicorn because a lot of times it doesn't always, doesn't always work that way. So a lot of times a child has to prove it to the parent first before they get on board. But but in your case, your mom is like there from the beginning. That's amazing. And I hope that you realize, like you realize how big that really is. Like that's really, really big.
Yes.
Um, that's amazing to me. Um, outside of your mom and your dad, how has the response been within your tribe for all your success? Like how has what role has your family played in what you've been able to accomplish? Because
Um,
I see your aunt on here commenting very much so, and so
yeah.
I know she's on board. But I mean, like, what, overall, like, what is your you know family been like?
My family is great. Like my brothers, when I won this pageant title, my two older brothers they're grown. I have one that's 25 and one, I think he 25 or 24. He's either 25 or 24, and the other one is 22. I don't know. They're like old. So, but then my little brother, he's 13, and I
Okay.
remember. Well, I didn't see it because I was on stage. But when I won this pageant title, he did a flip off of the chair, like because he was really happy for me. He
Wow.
flipped off the chair, but he's been like really supportive of my pageants. And I remember one year when I placed first runner up, and my whole family thought I was going to be winning. They were like so
Mhm.
excited, and I didn't win, and I was so sad. But he was really happy for me, and he was just saying like he can't wait for next year. He's like, "You're gonna win next year," and oh, I'm so sorry, but he's always been really supportive, and he's always been really happy for me. He's almost at every event that I'm doing. Um, and even though he loves to have his little iPad with him and he's always on his iPad, he's still there to support me, which I really appreciate. And also he told me I inspired him a bit. He started doing the hurrah players as well. He's had a few roles, like they did best Christmas pageant ever, and he got to play the role of Charlie, which he was really, really happy about. And he did recently, they did the best Christmas pageant ever, and he played Elmer. And I remember when he did his first show, I cried because I was like, oh, he was like, he's doing something, and like he seems so happy with it. So I feel like my support system in that area is like it's definitely there. With my brothers, my older brothers, they always send me encouraging things, and my oldest brother, well, not my oldest brother, my second older brother, Carl, he has me as his profile picture on Instagram. It's a really embarrassing picture of when I won my pageant title because I was crying, but he has it as his profile picture on Instagram. But I just, even though it's like a little silly thing that he has, it still shows like his support for me.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. So going forward, what's next on the agenda for you? Like what's the next big project that you're working on?
Well, I have a pageant in August. I will be competing for the national level for the Elks title. I have to give up this title in August as well, sadly. Right after I go to nationals, I have to go to Reston, Virginia. Well, nationals is it's going to be in Florida, and then I have to go to Reston, Virginia to give this title up. And then I also have to give my debutante title up in July. So those are probably the biggest things that I have to give up, but that I have coming up in the summer. But other than that, I have a lot of music to learn for governor's school. I have about 5 pieces, 3 of those being opera pieces, oh, it's more than 5, 2 musical theater pieces, and 1 jazz piece that I have to have done by September. So I'll be working on that. But I mean, I don't really have any problems with doing that because it's a joy to learn all of the music.
Wow. So what goes along with being a pageant winner? I know that you have to, there's a certain circuit that you have to go on once you been named the winner. So like, what's that journey like? What's some of the things that what some of the things that you have to do, involve have to do connecting, being connected with that.
So I have so I get to choose a lot of the things that I want to do, which I don't have a problem doing, which is like community service. I do have to do community service, which I
Mhm.
love to do. Recently, I got to sing Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid at this father daughter dance.
Okay.
I've done a lot of appearances. Um, they have these things called open calls where they have girls auditioning to be a part of the pageant. I've got to be a part of that. And I got to, like, just talk to girls a lot about pageantry and just spread pageantry and everything like that. That's a lot of fun. And that's mainly the stuff that I get to do with the pageant title.
Okay.
And also a lot of pictures. So sometimes it's really tiring because we get to smile and take lots of pictures. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how many more? But it's fun though. It's nice to like have people that want to actually take pictures with you and that actually are really looking up to you. So I don't have a negative. I try not to be negative about that at all, even though I'm really tired and I don't want to take pictures. I still do it because I want to make these people happy. And it's part of my pageant title.
Okay. Who would you say is where you were the most surprised to find out knew who you were?
Um, I don't really know, to be honest. Um, Probably just like little kids that remember me from like
Hmm.
different places. Because besides having my pageant title and everything like that, I also played Princess Tiana and now Princess Ariel at birthday parties or at events at the Tides baseball game. I got to sing the national anthem as Tiana, so that was a lot of fun. But it's honestly like so heartwarming when kids do recognize me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the pageant queen Dasianae." And I remember because before I won the pageant title, I was just Tiana and the Little Mermaid. And so like kids would just know me as Tiana or Little Mermaid, but it's a different experience and it's more heartwarming when they actually know you as who you actually are. And they know me for my pageant title and they know me for my name.
What would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
Probably because a lot of people have misconceptions about pageantry in general. So a lot of
Mhm.
people may think I'm a little stuck up or that I may be bratty. I don't know because a lot of people feel they see like a negative light of pageantry due to like shows like toddlers and tiaras or anything like that, or they just hear a lot of drama with certain pageant systems. But that's not always the case for every pageant queen. Not every pageant queen is that way, is stuck up and rude and thinks she's better than everyone. Actually, I've come across more pageant queens that are nice and respectful and that want the best for everyone, rather than meeting people that are more stuck up. And specifically with the pageant system that I do, there's a whole bunch of girls, all my pageant sisters, because I have like little pageant sisters, my older pageant sisters. They're all really humble. They're very sweet, and they're all so kind. None of them are stuck up at all.
So, on the flip side of that, what will people be surprised to know about you? What are some things that you do that nobody nobody knows? Like I was interviewing a young lady one time. She was a Christian artist, and she was very made up, very very beautiful, nice. And you would never think that she would do anything like physical like that. But I asked her that question, and she said she does construction. She builds stairs and furniture, and she fixes appliances, and she does a lot of handiwork. But if you looked at her, if you just judged her just by looking at her, you would never think
Yeah.
that she did. Um, so I posed that question to you. What would people be surprised to know about you?
I mean, everyone that I've come across is very surprised that I do opera.
Hmm.
They're specifically surprised at how I sound when I do opera because they're like, "Oh, she's a girl. Whatever, she sings opera." But then when they actually say that I can sing in different languages, I've sung in German, I've sung in Italian, I've sung in French, um, and I've sung in different languages. And a lot of people are really surprised by that, and they're like, "Wait, you can actually do all that?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then like
Hmm.
and I remember I did a competition a bit ago. I did it in, I believe that was April when I did the competition or March. And the guy after, one of the judges after, he was just like asking me how long I've been doing opera. And I said, about a year. He was just like really shocked. And he was like, your pronunciation of the words, your notes, like everything was like, he was like, that seems like you've been doing it for like since you were probably 4. And I was like, no, I've been doing this since I was like, I just started doing opera.
Right.
Yes.
It's amazing. That is that's amazing. Like I said, you what you're doing is so compared to others is so accelerated. You've done so many things in such a short time. At such a short as at such a young a young age. I mean, it's mind blowing that you're able to not only that you're accomplishing it, but you're able to do it with such graciousness and
Yes.
such just so seamlessly. You know what I mean? That's really that's really the interesting one of the most interesting parts. Um, what do you want people, particularly young women your age, even younger? Um, what do you want them to know about you when they see you? What and you could control their thoughts. What do you want them to see in you or about you? To what do you want them to know about you or feel about you once they've seen you and experienced you? What what's some of the main things that you would want them to go away knowing about you?
I really just want them to go away and like see me as someone that, if you really put the work in and you really put the effort in and you believe in yourself, that you can really achieve anything that you want to achieve. And I'm living proof of that. I want to be an inspiration to them, I guess, in that aspect, because I want them to be able to achieve whatever they want to achieve. I remember when we were doing the open calls for the pageant. The lady was teaching them about, interview. And she was like, if your daughter says she wants to be a Barbie princess mermaid, let her be a Barbie princess mermaid. Encourage her, like inspire her to be the best Barbie princess mermaid she could be. And I took that away. And even though it's like something that's so like silly, like a Barbie princess mermaid, oh my gosh, you can't be that. I mean, you technically can. I knew when I was little, I always wanted to be a princess. And I
Mhm.
mean, technically, I am a princess. I have a pageant title. And then on top of that, I played Princess Tiana and Princess Ariel. So, and in a way, I am a princess. So, I mean, that's just a way, like, as long as you just encourage yourself, that's what I really want them to like stay with, encouraging themselves and to work towards whatever they want to achieve. Just let them know that they can achieve it.
Further expounding on that question, how aware of you, how aware are you of the fact that you're a woman of color? And when you go about your daily business and these things that you're wanting to go about them as, are you going as Dejan, Dasianae, the black woman, or are you just going it as just basically Dasianae? Like how conscious are you of the fact that you're a woman of color and a lot of the genres that and a lot of the rooms that you're going in, you're usually the minority, being not only being black but also being a woman. Like, do you feel like you're do you feel like you're opening doors in a sense? Like, are you aware? How aware are you of that? Do you feel like you're going to that you're I don't know that you're like I said, blazing trails or opening doors?
So I am conscious that I am a black woman, but I do not fixate on my race or anything like that.
Mhm,
I don't really fixate on it as much because I mean, I don't believe that, well, in my opinion, I don't believe that just because someone is of a lighter complexion or someone is maybe white or anything like that, that they have, oh, what's the word? They have, I'm trying to think of the word. They have like more authority over me, or like they
mhm,
have an easier way to get something more than me, or they'll get something because of their race or anything like that.
mhm,
I don't feel like that way at all, because when I did the pageant, I competed against other white girls my whole entire the Queen's Court. So like the fourth runner up, third runner up, second runner up, and first runner up, they were all white girls. I ended up winning, and I'm a black girl. I didn't go into the pageant thinking, "Oh my gosh, this girl is going to beat me because she's white," or "I'm not. They're not going to choose me because I'm black," or they're not, or anything like that. I just went in there and I was myself. There are times where I do like talk about race and I do talk about the issues that some black women go through, but I don't fixate on it a lot because I personally don't feel that. Oh, that's the word. I don't feel that any of them have an advantage over me. I don't think anyone has an advantage over me. I feel that nowadays everything's more inclusive. And, you see a lot of black people that have dominated stuff over time. And I feel that it's not as prominent where, someone that's white or someone that's, or anything like that has an advantage over me, if that makes sense. So I don't typically think of that as much if I'm going in or an audition or anything like that, whether it's for someone that it's originally played by a white person. I still go in there and I do my best because I mean they just had the Little Mermaid and they casted a black girl for that, and I mean a lot of people were mad about it, but Disney still casted a black girl for it. And I don't think it was specifically because she was black. I don't think they were really trying to make a point because they're like, oh, let's just have a black girl do this. I think it was because she's just very talented. She's what they were looking for. They weren't really looking specifically for someone that is white or anything like that. I don't think they were looking for specifically for race. They're looking for someone who is that character. And whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, if you're what they're looking for, you're what they're looking for.
Wow. Wow. And I guess to further expound on that, like some of the things that you've been able to accomplish, there has been probably more, or not more, but only a few women of color have been able to accomplish. And I guess how conscious when you go into, say, certain pageants, for instance, let's just say pageants. Um, are you aware of how many women of color have won before you, or have had success, or is that something? Is that part of your process? Do you even think about that when you're going, into this thing? Because you may have been, let's say, the third black woman in 20 years to ever be, crowned, whatever. Is that something that you think about? And if somebody, and then when somebody makes you aware of it, how would that make you feel? Would that affect you in any way?
I can definitely, it could cross my mind, like if I look it up or if I just look at their like page and I'm looking through the queens, like who have won. But I typically don't really do that with competitions or any auditions or anything like that. I don't really look at who the past people were, except for if I'm like trying to train myself for it. And I'm trying to train myself to see, oh, maybe what are the qualities they're looking for. But I don't really go off of race or anything like that. I typically don't care what the race is or anything like that because at the end of the day, if it's for me, then it's for me. If it's not for me, then it's not for me. And if someone makes it brings attention to it, they're like, oh well, like not many black girls won this. I mean, I honestly don't care. I'm still just gonna go for it. If I feel like I should go for it. I have a strong intuition, so if I feel like if something isn't for me, then I wouldn't go for it. But if I feel like it is for me and it eventually will be for me, then I'm gonna go for it regardless.
So what I hear you saying is that every opportunity is just that, an opportunity.
Yes.
Got you.
And I feel
Okay.
like opera is a space where a lot of people may feel like that. A lot of opera, it's predominantly white people. But I don't feel any way about that. I mean, at governor's school in our department, when I was a sophomore, it was mainly like white girls, like in my vocal part, because I'm a soprano. I'm a higher soprano. So a lot of the other girls that I went against, like for like auditions or whatever, they were also high sopranos as well, and they were white. But I mean, I didn't feel anything about that. Like, I don't feel threatened. I don't feel like they had an advantage over me at all because at the end of the day, I ended up getting the role. But I don't think it was because of race or anything like that. I think it's just about dedication and talent. Not saying that the girls weren't talented or dedicated. I feel that they just felt I was better for the role. And I don't think that, I don't know. I just don't feel like an advantage. I don't feel like anyone really specifically has an advantage over me. I guess that's just because of the confidence I've instilled in myself. But yeah.
That's amazing. That's definitely, you listen, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, I after researching and looking over everything that you've been able to accomplish, and just meeting you, in this on this platform, you are very centered. You seem very centered, and you seem very matter of fact of what you're trying to do and who you are, and that's definitely something that's very rare for someone at such a young age. Um, how annoying is that when people bring up your age?
A lot of people like bring up my age and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're only on this age or this age," and I'm like, "Well, I was like, in my opinion, I feel like because this is the oldest I've been." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think much of it, but I'm like, I feel like because I used to be like, I should have accomplished way more at 17, but I'm like, no, I was like, my path is different than a lot of people. And I feel like my path, like how my path is going right now, it's meant for me. And maybe God wants me to go through certain stuff right now, or he wants to slowly build me to where I want to be. And I'm not mad about that at all. I'm really happy where I am.
So, okay, Miss Dasianae, I just have one more question for you. This is a question that I ask all my guests. So I just want you to take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can possibly give me. Okay.
Okay.
So here's the question. What would have to happen in your life, if it has not happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Okay. I feel that I already am successful. I feel I can be more successful, but I feel that I already have succeeded in certain aspects of my life, like winning my pageant title. There's little things in my life that I've seen as successful, like hitting a high E, which is music slang. Hitting a high E, hitting a whistle register. I have a whistle register. That's very successful to me. Having 3 pageant titles is successful to me. Um, Getting honor roll is successful to me. I feel that at my age, I'm already very successful, and I feel I'm going to be even more successful as I get older.
Wow. Okay. Very confident. I love that. If somebody was watching this interview and they wanted you to expound on something maybe that was expressed here today, or maybe somebody wanted to maybe book you at an event or speak or whatever, how could they get in touch with you?
They can have my email, which, or they can have my Instagram. My email is DASIANAE06 at gmail.com. And my Instagram is DASIANAE.CROSS.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on this platform. I was very excited to sit down with you. I think you're probably the second youngest guest I've had on this show. I had a 12-year-old on here before, so yeah, I think you're the second youngest person that I've had on this show, and definitely one of the most articulate and mature guests that I've had on the show, and I just really appreciate how honest you've been and how transparent you've been and how confident you are. It shines through and through. And so I wish you much success on everything that you're doing and everything that you plan on doing, and even the stuff that you have not planned to do yet. So I wish you much success on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you want to leave with the people before we sign off?
A scripture that I really like. I do not remember what verse or chapter it's from, but I do remember what it says, and I used this when I was competing for this pageant title. It just simply says, "God is within her; she will not fail." Males, you can also use that as, "God is within him; he will not fail." Just remember that if you keep God in your life and you keep God first and you believe in yourself, then you will not fail.
Okay, let's see. That is Psalms 46 and 5.
Yes, yes, that's what it is.
So just remember that. Psalm 46 and
And
5. Um, I'm going to leave you with a saying that one of my best friends left for me, and I want to share it with you. Never become so powerful that you stop being kind, but never be so kind that you have no power. And I'm going to leave. I want to leave. Want to leave that with you because I just really feel like that fits you. Okay.
yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Shout out to your mom and to your aunt and all your family members who've been commenting, and shout out to them. Oh man, thank you. Um, but again, I thank you for coming on the platform. I want to extend to you a open invitation. If there's anything, in the future that you want to promote or you want to, put out into the world, please let me know, and we definitely will make it happen. Consider this a part of your press junket. Consider this a part of your promotional journey once you start moving around with your music and everything that you plan on doing, please holler at us.
Okay, yes, I will.
So again, I thank you, and I hope you have an amazing night and an even greater weekend. Um, what's the next and before we go, what's the next thing that you have coming up that people will be able to?
I have a play coming up June 29th. It's called um, Mama Prayed for Us. Um, it will be at the Roper Theater. So if anyone wants to get tickets for that, I guess you could just go look that up. And it's on June 29th at 3 o'clock.
Absolutely. All right. Again, I thank you and I wish you much blessings.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Yes, you too.
There you have it, guys. Another great interview with another great guest. I want to shout out Miss Dasianae Cross. She's a refreshing young lady. She does so many things, and she's very humble, very articulate, very just very everything. um, I just met her and I find myself rooting for her. Like I'm seriously rooting for her to do really great things, and I can even see it. Sometimes you just meet people and you just know. You know what I'm saying? She's one of those people. So I encourage you to go to her page, check out what she's doing, keep up with her events, and support her and invest in her. Let's big her up. You know what I'm saying? Let's put her out there, make her even bigger than what she already is. And so because she is truly an example of taking advantage of opportunities, not making excuses, working hard, work ethic. And she's a young woman of color. And so we need as many examples and images of people like her as we possibly can, so that these young women can have somebody to point to and say, hey, I don't have to be mediocre. I don't have to live below my station because people like Dasianae did not. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to do what she's been able to do, or I'm going to at least have the attitude that she had when she's going about her business. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys in advance for watching the playback. If you're missing it right now, as always, I encourage you. If there's something that God is keeping you up at night with, you can see it in your mind. You can almost reach out and touch it. I implore you to walk in it and be it, whatever it is. Write that song, write that book, get that degree, get get that job, whatever the case may be. Start that business. If God is giving you the vision, He will supply provision. It's just up to you to accept the mandate or accept the call and walk in it. If you're an architect, be an architect. If you are an opera singer, do that, walk in it. But it's your choice. Not to mention the fact that I truly believe that God allows us to have a remnant of folks that are depending on us to make certain decisions so that they can reach their reach their ultimate destiny. So every decision that makes every decision that we make that much more important. Because if I go right and I was supposed to go left, somebody might not reach their destiny, or it might take them longer to reach their destiny because I went right instead of left. So it's that important. So with that being said, guys, I implore you, step out, do your thing, whatever that is, in spite of what others might say, in spite of criticisms, because like the older people say, they're gonna talk if you do or if you don't. So you might as well do. Give them something to talk about. So with that being said, again, I thank you guys for checking me out, checking us out. And I'll see you guys next week, okay? That being said, let's take a walk.